Okay, good. So, hi everyone. Welcome to our third part of our five-part webinar series, talking about how to future-proof your workspace. And today I am joined by two colleagues and a customer. So I'm joined by Joël, who's a workspace engineer, who's very skilled at AppScript. And then I've got Hans, who's a very experienced business analyst and change consultant within Devoteam G-Cloud as well, who have prepared this webinar for you. And we have a customer, Kim Hosteen, who will be joining us as well to talk a little bit more about his customer story. Of course, like I already said, five-part webinar series. Today is part 3. We'll be focusing very focused on productivity pillar here in the AppSheets one. And yeah, I would say without further ado, let's get inspired by Hans and Joël. So I would say, guys, take it away.
Thanks, Brecht, and also from my part, welcome everybody. Specifically, Kim, thanks very much for making some time available for this session. I really appreciate it. We were working together for that specific project, and we really appreciate your presence here. So thanks for that. So yes, we are going to talk about AppSheet. AppSheet, what is it? What can you do with it, of course, and also show some typical use cases and maybe also some points of attention where AppSheet might not be the right solution, but you will see there are quite some opportunities for AppSheet, not only as an AppSheet application itself, but specifically as a booster for your Google Workspace environment. You will see that you will really increase the value of your existing applications in Google Workspace, and that is actually the main advantage of that AppSheet environment. We will also talk about that integration, of course, and also how to start building it. And there we are very happy that Kim will share some experiences and values from Veolia. We will also talk about the AppSheet governance, which is an incredibly important thing. So you will see that AppSheet allows you to empower your business users, but still do it in a safe environment, in a managed environment. So we will discuss this side of that AppSheet experience as well. We will shortly give an overview of pricing possibilities. You will see it will really depend on your license. So it is actually part of that. So we will give you some insights there as well. And we will also give you some insights in the, I can say, bright future that is coming up for AppSheet. So we are only at the beginning, I think, and the beginning is already impressive. But we will see some great development coming up here. So we are able to give you some insights here as well. There will be time also to answer some questions. There will also be time to see a demo, to see how the components of AppSheet are working, how a business user can actually start developing, and what will be the experience of AppSheet users when using the app. So you have already an idea of how it works. If you have questions, feel free to save them at the last part or to already add them in the chat. We will discuss them at the end of the session to be sure that your question will be answered. So the main takeaway of AppSheet, that's my opinion here, is actually that AppSheet allows organizations to empower their business users. So we call it citizen development, right? So you don't actually need to wait for a development team or a big budget to allow business users to create AppSheet applications themselves. But at the same time, also as a governance security measure, you can do it in a managed way. And Brecht will launch a poll here just to see what are your opinions about the usage of citizen development in your organization. You can access the poll at the right bottom side of your screen. You will find a link to that poll. We are curious to see your reactions there as well. So AppSheet is available in Google Workspace, but I can imagine that not a lot of people are aware of this possibility. And I'm also a little bit curious to see if we have participants here who have already experience with AppSheet. Could you just raise your hand, click the hand raise button at the bottom of your screen if you have already some experience or knowledge of AppSheet? Just curious to see who has already. I'm sure Kim has already. I see Henrik as well. So that means for some people it's still quite new, huh? Great. So we can use this webinar then to explain how this works. I got this definition from Google somewhere about AppSheet, and I would really like to literally read it and then dive deeper into the specific elements from it. So we can call AppSheet as a no-code, low-code environment. We'll discuss this later. Available in Google Workspace. That's the framework where it is available. And users, we will see what type of users, can create apps to support their business processes without any development knowledge. So those 4 parts mean a lot to AppSheet, and I think it's worth discussing a little bit what are those 4 elements. So the first one is about no-code, low-code. It's specifically built for business users, citizen developers, and it delivers a very easy-to-use interface. When we see the demo later on, you will see that AppSheet is even suggesting a lot of things. For instance, if you are starting to create an application and you want to link your application with a database, well, AppSheet will already define the right data formatting, data types. When there is a date in your data table, it will be recognized as a date. Text will be recognized as text. And the application itself will already use that kind of information to predict features that you will try to use or that you will want to use. Imagine some geolocation available in your database. Well, the AppSheet application will suggest a Google Maps icon to be able to see the location, to be able to create your journey to that location, and so on. For mail information, phone information, relevant links will be available automatically or suggested by the application itself. So for non-developers, this is going to be an interesting way because, yeah, they don't need to understand the technical language that is needed to define that kind of things. But you can also add that technical thing. So if you would like to have deeper integration with any Google Workspace application, like communication with Gmail, the chat apps, but also the creation of documents or events and resources of events, well, you could use some app script development there as well, where code will be needed there, a developer will be needed there, but it will actually broaden the application towards other Google Workspace applications. So that's the first important thing. It is a no-code, low-code environment that can be used by any type of users. It can be used by developers, right? So for developers, it will be a really easy tool to just start creating. You don't need like a infrastructure or a development environment. You can do it right from within the application itself. But it's also possible to allow business users themselves to create those applications. As a process owner, as a product owner, they know their processes, they know their daily operations very well, they do it daily, so they have a very good idea of workflows, the data they use, and also the opportunities to do it in a better way. So they are actually the right persons to see or to build even that applications. And you will see that there is actually no need to involve IT here or any developer here, or minimally. For instance, the creation of a service account, technical account, could be maybe something that has been done or should be done by IT, or the credentials for a specific data source is something maybe that needs to be provided by IT. But apart from that, you can really leave it to business users if you would like to do so. But at the same time, governance by IT will be possible. So as an organization, you will have the opportunity to create some policies, to set up some rules to prevent, for instance, some data breaches or unwanted sharing internally or externally, and so on. So the combination of freedom and control is a very interesting combination in this case. Creating apps can be done from scratch with no materials, with no data at all. And then you can even use the built-in AppSheet tables. I think they are still in preview now, but soon going to be generally available. So even then, you won't need any data source actually anymore, because it will be done automatically when creating the app. And then all kind of technical things will be done automatically. For instance, the creation of unique identifiers will be handled by the AppSheet application itself. But if you have already some data in a very simple spreadsheet, a Google Sheet, or any kind of cloud database, you will be able to use that information as well. You will be able to link your AppSheet application to that kind of sources, to those data tables. So typically, any, let's say, process-driven case will be supported or can be supported by the creation of an AppSheet app. And then the last element is about that development knowledge. You will see when you start using AppSheet, there is a huge library of already created apps available. You can consider them as, let's say, templates where you can use sample data or replace the sample data with your own data. For instance, renting materials can be an example that is available already in that template library. Service tickets is available over there. Anything related to project management, Kanban boards, that kind of workflows for to-dos and so on, you will find already some templates available right in the AppSheet library, and you just need to copy it and start working on, start customizing it. Customizing for data, customizing for small features, customizing even for branding. So it is even possible to add some branding to your layout. And as I said, AppSheet provides its own building environment. So there is no development environment that needs to be set up, maintained, and so on. It's all built in. Just like version history is, you don't need to create branches in your development. You can just use the built-in version history as you already used, probably by using Google products already. And of course, collaboration is built in. By nature, collaboration will be possible, of course. Do you really need to have any technical background? I would say no. It can come handy if you have already some basic understanding of how databases work, the concept of a unique identifier, for instance, or the concept of storing reference data to another table, and that kind of information could be already come in handy if you know that. But as I said, a lot of these features are done automatically by the application itself. So if you don't have that experience, don't feel limited to try it. So what are then some typical use cases here that can be used to start creating an app using AppSheet? Well, we said already, anything task related, to do related, project management related will be a good candidate to create an application for. Or even existing features that you want to customize. I mean, as existing Google Workspace features that you want to customize for a specific reason within your organization, for instance. Let's say a customized way of organizing events, where resources are booked, communication flows are sent out through Gmail or chat, documents are created automatically and shared automatically to a specific public, and so on. It can be done using an AppSheet application. We also see some really old paper and pen situations, right? So every organization has a need to register visitors and so on. So I see people writing down their names, dates, and so on. It can be done in an automated way using an AppSheet application. Specifically in situations where there was a transformation from a Microsoft environment to a Google Workspace environment, AppSheet will come in handy as well, because it will be able to replace existing legacy tools like Power Apps, like SharePoint apps, Access databases, and that kind of tools. Anything that is data input related or data visualization will be interesting here as well. Be careful when your app has a specific need for, let's say, heavy customization for layout. You will see that layout features are done automatically in AppSheet. You will be able to add some branding, colors, and so on. But for the rest, you don't have a lot of possibilities there. So if you need that kind of features, AppSheet might not be the right one. And maybe also pay attention to the usage. If your application needs access or to provide access to huge numbers of users or to external users, customer-faced user, it also can be a contra to start using AppSheet. And of course, it's a cloud tool. Anything on-premise related is going to be a little bit difficult, I think. It may be an opportunity even to bring your on-premise database in the cloud if that would be needed. There are some solutions available, but yeah, it would not be our recommendation to do that. So you have a huge amount of applications possible here, and it is specifically interesting because it is integrated in our Google Workspace environment. And not only Google Workspace, right? So we are able to create integrations with Drive for storage and for the editors to create in an automated way documents, text documents, even presentations, and so on. But also third-party apps that are allowing you to access through REST API, open data, webhook, and that kind of technology. You will be able to integrate them as well in your application. So you have quite some opportunities here, and I don't have the time to go into details here, unfortunately, but we have the information here in the presentation. You will be able to have the presentation later on as well. There is a huge set of API-based features that are available. The creation of docs, storing docs, creating communication flows in mail, in chats, creating robots in chats, creating automatically meet links, video links to events, and that kind of information will be available straight from the app. So let's see maybe in practice how you start building new apps. And as we announced at the beginning, we have Kim available here in our call as well. Kim is working for Veolia. Veolia, a big player, a big worldwide key player in the water, waste, and energy management industry, plus 200,000 employees. That's not in Belgium, that's worldwide. But yeah, we can say this is a huge player. We were able to have a AppSheet project together. So very glad, Kim, that you're able to join you here. Maybe as a first question, Veolia chose AppSheet as a solution to remediate old applications. Can you maybe briefly describe a little bit the context of that decision?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So indeed, there is a bit of context to be explained. Veolia grew from to 220,000 employees and 140 countries just last year due to a takeover. So last year, Suez Group was taken over on a global level by Veolia, and by consequence, we adapted the complete strategy, the complete cloud strategy, and the complete um, IT strategy in the complete Benelux. Very concretely, that means that we switch from a Microsoft Office 365 environment to Google Workspace. And within that, let's say, menu of all the Google products, we very much embraced uh, the development and the possibilities and the flexibilities of AppSheets as a remediation tool. Because coming from that situation where you are where you have a very clear deadline to move all of your small applications. For us, in our case, it was built in mainly SharePoint, some in Access, some in Excel, to remediate all of those questions from the business, because okay. There were solutions in SharePoint, there were solutions in Access databases to answer the business and to reassure them that there would be business continuity. It was very much pushed from group level to look into Google App Sheets, and in some cases where it was a very simple case of a Google Drive.
Yeah, I remember there was also a concern about governance there.
Yes.
As a big organization with yeah, thousands of business users, there was that concern about governance. Can you maybe explain how Veolia applied this governance in their environment?
Indeed. There was indeed a very big concern about the governance around all of the app sheets, flexibility, let's say. Citizens, developers, we were very much, or we're very happy that this is not only a story in IT, but it also extends to the whole company, and it also starts to involve your people from business. I do have to say, okay, theoretically, it's people not even without any technical knowledge, but it always tends to be some people who are just a little bit more technical savvy. But uh, to put down a structure of governance, it was very much pushed by group level, that there is a structure built. Everybody keeps that flexibility to become a citizen developer. You have to get in a certain way certified to earn that title of citizen developer, and whatever that population of citizen developer does is validated before any Google App Sheet is published.
Right. So
And
actually, the people were empowered to just start doing it, but guided. They can have some training. They can have some knowledge that is shared amongst, let's say, the AppSheet experts, if I understood well. But
yes.
the deployment of apps is only done after a validation process, right?
Yes, and I think for the people who are just curious what those steps of validation would then be, obviously it's an alignment with what app sheets have already been built to avoid any doubles. What app sheets have already um, what is the integration that is foreseen of an app sheet? What are the authorizations that are behind it? If it uses validation steps, is that in line with all of the business rules that we have active for such and such process? That kind of validation steps falls within that responsibility of an IT, let's say. um, it's not really an admin role, but it's really uh, a guidance to all of those citizens developers.
You mentioned already some challenges here, right? So for IT management and so, are there also some technical challenges or maybe business challenges when you start creating apps? Do you have anything to share for that?
Well, the biggest challenges I see is that, first of all, it's a mentality shift in the business. You need to get these people into the habit of um, or to at least be aware that this is an option for any kind of problem or any kind of request that they have. Because people in our business, at least in our business population, they really start to think in larger projects, in either optimization of all of the current, but this is something that you really need to promote within that population of business of or potential business citizen developers, that this is also an option, and that's just by showing, that's by demoing, that is by uh, showing the power and the flexibility and the quick
Result.
development, yeah, the quick result that you might have. And I think
Exactly.
that's also one of the points that I would like to add to your explanation, is that from an application manager point of view, it also helps me to respond to certain questions from the business in a much quicker way. Also, because for any kind of external solution, I would have to go to a security, and rightfully so, a very heavy security validation step that makes it very very interesting. And this is something that which is already there, available. Everything is approved. Everything that you do within that, let's say, environment is readily available.
Yeah, great. Now, thanks for sharing that insight. We are a little bit curious now, Kim. Would we be able to see something that has been developed recently, just to have an idea of
Yeah.
a business application that is developed and used actually?
Okay, I will take over the screen.
Thank you.
You can see my screen.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah. This is just I just wanted to show this as proof that we have developed some Google App Sheets. This is actually the gallery that we that is lists up all of the Google App Sheets that we've developed since then. Just as a reminder, we had a lot of remediation to be done. We had a lot of solutions that were already used as SharePoint solutions that we now have, within that time that we were given, um, remediated into either Google Drive solutions or into these Google App Sheets. So it's already a long list. It's already and it's growing, let's say, by the week.
Impressive.
Yeah. And then, indeed, as an example, the example that I want to show you is this one, the master data governance. It's a remediation from um, a SharePoint that we set up to manage and to validate our master data that we inject into our SAP system. Anybody who's familiar with SAP knows that it takes a lot of master data. You have to create plans, you have to create locations, purchase groups, or ordering groups, you name it. SAP, there's a lot of master data. So used to be in a SharePoint solution, and now is remediated into this master data governance AppSheet. And as Hans explained, basically it's a Google Sheet sitting beneath it as a database. And then this one is just a simple validation of that master data in between the groups of IT. Just as a quick explanation of the process, it's people from business asking for new master data, a new plant, a new location, a new organization diagram to be set up. They will make that request just by simply filling out the request form. As you can see, it's very simple, just limited to a selection of the workflow. We have set up a number of test workflows on it, and then according to the modules within SAP, some workflow, always a comment and then an attachment, as there is some form set up, some standard form set up to do that, to make that request. But that's maybe separately. So then I've just prepared this one for you.
So there is a workflow behind that requests, and people get notified if they
Yes.
have any tasks to do.
Indeed, you get a notification. There's a new master data task for you to do, to validate, or either to analyze, and then you can, if you open the app sheet, you can see this screen, and it basically says, as you would expect, approve, reject, return, or you can cancel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's several views on it. What started, was completed, and this is the one where we have an overview of all of the tasks.
Great. So this is one with separate permissions and user groups, then I imagine, depending on the roles they have in this workflow, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So even that is possible in that AppSheet application. So you're showing this now in your, let's say, web UI, your desktop UI. Do you guys also use apps with other screens, like mobile devices or tablets even?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we've set up a number of Google apps which are also used on mobile devices.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing this example, Kim.
You're welcome.
We were collaborating for this project quite some time. So you have some experience with a partner in this topic here. What would be, according to you, the added value of bringing in a partner in this kind of project?
Obviously, this is all about raising the level of insight and building up that experience within your IT team. Because if you remember the story about the validation, there is some governance that needs to be done, and indeed people do need to, IT people do take the lead within that, and they need to build up some experience and some it's tips and tricks, and it's some speed as well within the process that you need to build up within your application or IT group.
knowledge, best practices, and that kind of things are easily shared
Absolutely.
that way. Yeah. Great. So thank you very much, Kim, to share those examples, that insights are very much appreciated here. So maybe as a wrap up here, so when you start creating apps here, make sure that business is involved. This is very important. Do some business analysis, but make sure that your business users are on board in the preparation phase, in the execution phase, but also in the maintenance phase. So make sure that they are involved. They know their data. They know which data are maybe not used anymore or that should be cleaned up even. So use that occasion also to make sure you have good quality of data as well when preparing for the creation of an AppSheet application. And when constructing, also there, make sure that you have a framework installed just to be able to have a similar structure. Kim was showing you tens of applications that are already active in his domain. So you would like to have it done, let's say, in a similar way for storage, for permissions, ownership, and that kind of things. And make sure that people start small. So start creating an MVP and add detailed features or maybe more advanced or exotic features later on. So you can really start for the biggest or the most important use cases, and then slightly on add some more advanced use cases here. Layout should not be your main concern in the beginning. We often saw, even when testing applications, that people decide to change a view at the latest phase, just because it is a better view to support their business needs. So this is something you could do at the end of the project. And specifically in remediation situations, because that is sometimes, or in a lot of cases even, the context where AppSheet creation is going to be used, you probably will also need to take into account that you will need to do some reverse engineering. We saw some SharePoint apps, some Power apps that are documented, but then there was some evolution. There was no documentation anymore for the new features that have been added. In some cases, the original owners were not able or not existing anymore to do some support or to give some explanations. The original consultants or developers were not available to give some information or background. So then you will need probably to do some reverse engineering to understand how workflows should work, how the data is structured, and that kind of things, of course. About governance, this is something that you need to understand. So the advantage of AppSheet is actually that you are able, as an organization, to define some rules, to establish some access controls, for instance. You could say everybody can create an app, but deployment is only possible after validation. You could say you can even create some proof of concept, allowing business to explore the tool, to experiment with the tool, and even test the tool with 2 or 3 colleagues, just to have an idea of the possibilities, the opportunities they have with that specific tool. But also about sensitive data, of course, external sharing. It would be a good practice to add some governance here as well, just to avoid any problems regarding that kind of information. Pricing is probably also something that is important for you. So as I said already, AppSheet is actually available for every Google account. Even a private Gmail account will be able to start experimenting, exploring an AppSheet. So this is actually a really nice way to get in contact with the AppSheet application and see what are the possibilities and so on. So regardless of the license type, AppSheet will be available for people. And anybody will be able to start creating an application as a proof of concept for free. So nothing will be charged during testing, during proof of concept, and so on. It will be completely free here. You will only, and it depends really on your license type, start paying for deployed apps. So as soon as you start bringing your proof of concept into production, then there will be some charges possible. And it really depends on the AppSheet features that are used. And we have a set of, let's say, core AppSheet features that are free included in the Enterprise Plus license. So even there won't be extra charging. But depending on extra features that are used or more advanced features from AppSheet that are used in your application, and according to your license type, it would be needed to have some extra costs here as well. It's a little bit difficult here to have like a general rule here. It's always a sales contact quote here is needed. So if you are interested here, feel free to reach out here and to check with our sales managers here. So we already described a little bit the current situation, the actual situation, what is possible. But yeah, in any Google event, we see that there is always an announcement about AppSheet, and there are a few that were done recently. So I think last month they made the integration from AppSheet to Google Chat, so you are able to create apps that are integrated as an automation app in your chat application. So it will be done like answer and questioning, and it will be integrated in your application. Built-in tables are still in preview, but will become generally available. So no need to start creating data tables anymore. Desktop UI will also become generally available. For now, still in preview, but pretty much okay already. So it will become available for everybody soon. Directory sync, so meaning the integration with the Google Workspace directory, will become available as well. And Joël just told me 5 minutes before our meeting that the email address auto-completion is available right now. That was like a difficult thing. You really needed to type the complete email address as a whole. So now that is done. That integration is done also right today. And there was also that very impressive announcement from Google during the I/O convention recently. So everything that is AI related, generative AI related, well, there are some big plans for AppSheet here as well. In the future, you will be able to just start a bot conversation with AppSheet and explain what you like to have in a very natural speaking way, in a very narrative way. Hi, AppSheet, I would like to create an app with a workflow of 3 steps. We have this kind of data involved, and we would like to have people notified when the 3rd step is finished. And then AppSheet will start asking you some questions, just to be sure to understand the requirements the best way possible. And AppSheet will already create, right from that little conversation, an application that can be customized later on and so on. So the sky here is not the limit. I think it's only the beginning, and we are very curious to see how things will evolve here. So that was my part here. I don't know if there were already some questions in the chat, not specifically, I think. I will hand over the microphone to my colleague Joël here to check questions and also to see if he can show you some other features in AppSheet as well. Thank you.
Hi. What I'm going to do is, because there is very little time left, I'm just going to quickly show an app I'm creating at the moment for a customer. It's a small app, and the work I've done up until now, it's about 1 day of work. So I'll start sharing my screen to show the app. So this is the app. It's a preview that's available from within the AppSheet environment. So you can immediately say how it will look like when you're on a mobile device, if you're on a tablet, or if you want to use it on a web browser in full screen. So I'm just going to show the mobile part. So the idea of the app is to, it's for a company that wants to lend out some Chromebooks. Yeah, the titles are in Dutch because it's a Dutch-speaking company. But anyway, I will guide you through it so you can have a look at what reservations have been made. You can see the status of the different reservations that have been done. And if I want to add another reservation, I just hit the add button. I can say for who it needs to be. I can select from existing people, or I can create a new one. So I'll add a new one. Quickly. So, and I see in my reservation I'm creating that it was automatically filled in with the email address, the contact language preferred. I have to select somebody that's guiding the course. I can add another one, or I can again select one out of the existing list. I can select for which course. Again, the same, creating a new one immediately without the need to going to another screen. But just put in some demo data. I select a start date in 2 weeks, and I can even add an address here. It's not mandatory, but let me try something. That it will be an in-house training. And you see here that it also will complete address automatically. That's only because I said this field is an address field. And that means it will look up in Google Maps without me having needed to do any coding. It will look it up in Google Maps and show a valid address. So if I select that one, it can be used later. So now I've done my reservation, or I prepared it. And you will see it added some dates. So the start date, the end date, if it's different for this particular person, I can change it. And it also advises a pickup date. So when the person needs a Chromebook, I can select which date he needs to pick it up. And you see he automatically proposes a date, so the first working date before the course started. So it's not just the date -1, because that would be a Sunday, but the first working date, it's on a Friday, so the 23rd, and I can even say, okay, pick it up 1 day earlier. I need to say where he needs to pick it up. I'll just use the one that's in the list. And then the date when he needs to put it back, again, it's the first working date after the course. So not on a Saturday, but on a Monday. And again, I can change it here. So if I say this is okay, or I need to change something, maybe I've done something wrong, or the data is not complete, I will see it in draft, and I can start edit it. And I say, okay, this is not the correct name. I can go to the details and edit it, because my name is not correctly written like that, but it's what. Oh, like this. If I save it, and automatically in the reservation, this name is also updated. So now it's ready, and I can send it for the next department to handle it. So I just made the appointment, but I didn't fill in a device yet. For this, let's say I've done this on my mobile phone because the people was standing right next to me. So I will switch to the desktop overview or the desktop view. I'll have to sync to get the latest data. And I can see when I look at which are created but not handled, I see the one I created just in here. So I'll go through the process. I'll add a Chromebook here, and I'll send it. And then I want to reserve it. And you will see after the sync, it will come automatically in the new category being reserved. And here it's again. The people come to pick it up. I switch the status. And now I can also say he brings it back. After he synced, I can only say he brought it back. And that completes the process. If I say he brings it back, I also need to say, okay, the status is still okay, or it's damaged. Let's say it's damaged. And you will see after the sync, it will be in this category that it's colored orange because I said it was damaged. If it would be okay, it would have no color. So that's very quickly explained what application does. Like I said, this was created in 1 day. So let's have a look on how we create it. And for that, I will switch to the editor view of the application. And immediately we see some screens very similar. If you're working with Google Workspace, it's the same interface, so the same look and feel, let's say. And we have the different steps on the left. Let me see if I can collapse this one. But I don't think so. So the first thing we need to do, we need to define the data. So here I see the tables that are used in the apps. And for every table, I see what are the fields and what are the types. So like I said before, for instance, for the course, I made this type of address. So if I look in the app, so also in the editor, you have this preview available. So every change you make, you can preview it immediately. That doesn't mean it's live, but only if you save it and you're happy with the result, then you save it and it will be deployed, and automatically the next thing a user does, he will receive the updated version. Let's have a look. So if I go to the courses, so I see here now that there is a little icon with maps, but I also need to sync the data in here. So this is the one I created. If I click on here, it will open the Google Maps view and show me where the location is. And I can even click here and say, okay, I want to get the driving directions like Hans already mentioned, and it will open maps. And I just have to say now, okay, this is my location. I need to allow it. Yeah, it's now pretty stupid because I have to go to my own place. But you can get the directions without need to open anything else. So the first thing is to define your data, have the types ready. You will also see, for instance, for the people that need the device, I set here the field email address is of type email. So that means if we go and have a look in the list, that I also have here this action button. So if I click on this, it will open my mail application and it will put the destination address of this person in the to field. So that kind of tricks something the AppSheet has done automatically. So there was no coding needed for this. That's all in the background. That's what the power of AppSheets. It's helping you to create the app, even if you have no knowledge. So that about the data, then that's the first thing we need to set up. And then we need to create the views. So in the views, you see I made my primary navigation button, the reservation, and it's just a table of all the reservations, and I grouped them by current status. So that's what we see here. And then I created some menu navigations for the cursor, the locations, and the courses itself. So that's the second step we need to make. Then I already mentioned this. So the actions, AppSheet will create this themselves, but you can say, okay, I need this or I don't need this, and I can even add my own actions. So for if I say, okay, this compose email, it's nice to have, but I don't need it, I just click the action and I say, don't display it, and it will be gone. So if I now go to here, you see the action is removed. That's all that's needed. If I say display inline, it shows it again.
Just being conscious of time.
So that's the third step. You need to find your actions, what you want people to do, what you don't want them to do. And then a final step is the automations. Yeah, it's still in development. So what's going to happen if it's enabled? Once we do a reservation, it will send via a Google App script. Goes to the admin directory of the workspace tenant, and it will move the Chromebook from one OU to another one. When moving it to another one, it will get other policies, and it will be set up for the people to follow their courses. When it's returned, another bot will kick in, and it will move the Chromebook back and update the status. So that's very in short how it works. How you can do it. Maybe one more thing. So I've shown the development environment. Maybe also nice to see how the data looks like. So this is the spreadsheet with the data. So this is the reservation I created. The courses I have set up. So it's just a spreadsheet with the table names. So there's always, I call it UID, so a unique identifier. The data of the joining people, and the data of the pickup points. Nice to know if I change something here, it will also show in the app. If I change it here, if I go back to the app, and I will do a sync. Yeah, I do the sync manually. It will not push changes from the data to the app, but it will retrieve it when idle every 20 minutes or so. But it will not be pushed immediately. So I see now my name is again like I first set it up. I think that's all for me. Are there any questions left or some thoughts about this?
I think it was pretty insightful. We're very close to everybody's lunchtime, we know. But yeah, if there are any additional questions or you want to see something more, I'll stop the recording now, and then we can have some questions still.